Where was the fire on these things?
It's almost in town,
Huh?
near Hawes, it's farm. Near Hawes Farm.
All right, so we're ready, we're gonna begin. We have 3 of 4. We're missing Julia. I have it perfect. Do we have any additions or adjustments? I do not. Motion to approve the minutes for December 19th.
So we'll move.
1, 2. Any comments or corrections?
No.
All right, all in favor? Right. My dear, Alvin, no, Eric.
Either way you want. to
Either
do
way,
it.
it's fine. I remember the last. All right, we'll just take a quick look at this, so we can have our other discussions for the warrant.
What? Did you ever get from Franklin for $170? That was buying inspection stuff. Yes, something that did not come.
Page 3. Right.
Well, we're back to the 4, and I just realized that Tidewater, are we on fiber optics now at the office? Do we have fiber optics? Broadband.
Don't think so. I don't actually not because we.
Literally
Because I think it's not right by this.
It's gonna be close because I have it in my house, but I don't know if it's been put into school yet or not. When that comes back. Because it's quite a process that I put in and I don't recall hearing it.
Just a quick thought.
That's the next step. Change the form count. It's two. Three. Four.
Midcoast Main Management, is that our dues for that, or is that, what is all that?
I'm sorry, what?
$4,300 from Midcoast Main Management. LLC.
What do you want?
Page 4. Of 7.
Stuff with that.
Because
Maritime, they're the new name for Maritime
Midcoast Main Management,
LLC.
yeah.
It's about the gas part of Maritime.
Oh, gotcha. Right. Sorry.
Page 5. That's the direction that has all the names now. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, certainly a lot of repeats.
Yeah. I think I asked this last time, that with three, that's the.
Something like her.
Yeah. What were the financial statements, if you guys are all set with those? regular instruction outline.
I have to move a couple staff members around. I was spent between me and everything else, I can already know.
Okay. Three. And there, page 4. Page 5. Okay. That position's not staffed. Or is it a 12 position, or is that just?
I should say position. I should say portion. Portion, oh, they're like that for 6 months. So that's the part, that's the, I guess share might be a better word, or should 12 share. Because, you know, that will also, so I will change that.
So they go with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
generally they pay it more toward the end of the year when we have a better feel. And you know that.
Anything that, any questions on the financial statements? Anything we missed that we need to know about? So,
Yeah,
We're halfway there.
yeah.
Everything lines up, but pretty neat.
is there anyone in the audience that wanted to speak? No action items, and we are moving on to monitoring the financial condition of the district. I think that looking at the classroom side of the district thing is kind of what we're gonna focus on.
Yeah.
So,
So I wasn't sure what information I could bring next time or might be able to answer for you now. That was, something that's on this agenda and on the facilities one. Noah also wants to speak about it. I know Steve has presented some data, within his board reports about the climate enrollment. So, and questions you have that I can answer now or information I can gather.
yeah, I think we really, want to take a hard look at what it would look like, to redistrict, choosing, how you choose those lines, but I guess just looking at population and a map and sectioning it out and figuring out if it works or not, I suppose. I do think that really taking a step forward and looking at that could solve some problems with classroom sizes and whatnot. So I don't really want to push it aside.
And also transportation.
And transportation.
You know.
Yeah.
If we can't have buses repeating paths all the time.
Did you have a particular, I mean, I assume we'll be trying to gain some population at Friendship Village School and decrease at Miller School.
I think even some Waldeboro streets could probably head towards Warren, depending on, I guess it's whoever has that bus route map could really get a really good feel for which direction the buses could go, that who could be picked up to go where the easiest.
And one problem with changing the boundaries though, is that's always in flux. Can't tell who's gonna buy a property here with 5 kids or 2 kids or what kids and, you change the boundary and it might seem great for 1 year.
Never changes, it's constant.
It's constant changing and it makes it, I understand where we're trying to go, but it's very, very difficult to just draw a circle and say, that's it.
Yeah, probably have to be reassessed every couple of years.
I don't think so, at least. Particularly some towns that, they have an influx of people in a lot of towns, but over it.
Well, we see that what's coming in the future is Knox County numbers are going so, way down. Lincoln's going up, so we can only assume that we won't see a decrease in the near future without moving some of those out into the other schools.
Yeah.
Which have plenty of room.
I'm just gonna say off the top of my head, in the 5 years I've been here, I believe Miller's enrollment's gone up somewhere around 30 students.
I don't remember. The last time I saw, we had done the enrollment figures, I think it went back on 15 years and we're at our highest.
Yeah, you're definitely at your highest of one of the
Yeah.
last 15 years.
At least and we're getting more. But every more registered.
And I think Lincoln County, one of the only counties that is showing an increase, in population, state, well, I mean, southern Maine, but that's different. This is predicted to go down 25% or something. Really crazy number. Yeah, so when I did this, Julia School was at 352, and I think it's at 369 now, maybe. And that's the highest it's been. My numbers go back to 2010, and it's the highest it's been. But Warren is the same as the lowest it's ever been in the same period of time.
But that's just because.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, union, we increased in union. No, I didn't think that much.
The number I'm seeing, back in 19, there was 156 children, but years prior to that, and since then, it hasn't been anywhere near that high, so I'm not sure if the really family didn't doubt, I think. But Union it's staying pretty steady. Let's see, over the last 15 years, their average has been 126, and they're at 123, so it's staying pretty steady.
I was just curious for Miller if that's just new students moving into the area or if that has to do with special education classrooms that are at that location or a mix.
It's new, mostly new students.
And then my other thought was just looking at like higher density population, places where there's a lot more housing and including those in the boundary. More that we can continually have families in those locations.
Like apartment complexes, those sorts of things.
That makes it easier for bus routes.
What's that?
So that would make it easier for bus routes too.
Just shrink. Well, the road down.
I think we didn't even talk about the other way to look at where somebody goes to school is that it's within so many miles of the school.
The bylaw will only require to transport students to the closest school, right? Not necessarily. So, for example, where I live, Washington School's slightly further apart, but there's got to be children in Union who's closer to Prescott, for example, right? I'm sure there's children in, I don't know that, I'm guessing on the Boyle Barn that may be closer to the River School. Still logistically challenged a bit where the town on. But that's legally what we're required to do.
Don't know that it would be necessary to do that across the district. I mean, Miller has a public housing model. That's an issue we need to figure out. Seems like an obvious place to start, but I don't know that that means to universally transport students to the closest school would be necessary.
We exhausted the options for things like great here.
It's still an option. There's just a cost attached to that. And Ryan and I met with the EEI group, and I did ask them to give me an estimated cost of what it would take to move sixth grade here, so we could look at that as an option, as well as an expansion of other schools.
I was thinking actually just Miller's sixth grade came here. You had two classrooms last year, they're not used, well, they're used for something now, but you had your purple wing two room group, what that was just sixth graders from Marlboro.
I actually just sat with Josh yesterday.
Yes.
Just yesterday, this week, and looked at space in this building. Actually, so it would displace something. If we were to do that, it doesn't, it can't be done, but.
Because it was last year. You had 2 classrooms here last year.
They're also
Right.
not being used like they are at Miller. In terms of every square inch of that school.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said that the space here is probably not used to the extent that it's used at Miller. We don't have
Sure.
all, you know, all the closets filled.
Yes.
I appreciate that the board is talking about this at all of your meetings, because in my opinion, something needs to be done for next year. But this isn't a problem that we can keep pushing off.
That was just going to be my next question is what is feasible for us to do for next year? Is it going to be feasible to change our district lines? Is it going to be feasible to bring 6th grade up here? Is it going to be, what can we do at this point? Especially with the middle budgets.
So did you have 2 6th grade classes or 3?
At 3 6th grade class.
What's the student population of your 6th grade?
Off the top of my head, it's right around 50 kids.
Warren has 50 in 2 rooms. So, most years.
It's, 48, predicted to be 49 next year, if all 5th graders move up. I don't think, I mean, if they all stay in all of them.
Yeah,
I was just looking and I realized it's pretty much the same crew that's gonna be at facilities too, so.
yeah.
I actually had the opportunity to go on a tour at Miller, and it was really cool to see the school like running. And I also got to see what you already mentioned. Julie's using every square inch of that school, and then a few more that I didn't know were there. So it is definitely something that we have to figure out now. I don't know how you can fit 2 more kids who just registered. I don't know where you're gonna put them. So it's something I was gonna propose at the facilities committee, and I guess I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on it, of making a kind of a streamlined ad hoc committee specifically for the idea of redistricting or just reanalyzing how we do the town lines, the bus routes, programs at each school, taking it really like in-depth look at it and figuring out a solution within a couple of meetings and bringing a proposal to the board within the next few weeks. That way we have something for next year.
So you're ready to talk about pulling that information together. Karen can work with Brian on bring that back to this committee. Separate committee.
In some ways, I like the idea of an ad hoc, only because it would be a small group and that's their sole focus. Like that's the point of an ad hoc committee. And that way it could streamline the process, and I mean, with committees meeting monthly, it could take a while. I don't want to delay the process anymore, and then it's gonna get bogged down in budget season. And it really would like, I don't know if that would make sense to anyone else. That's just the way I was thinking about it.
I think Caitlin, sorry.
I was gonna say, my only concern is overstepping our job as a board, because it's not our job to manage what happens, it's our job to approve what administration chooses to do. I guess we'd have to talk, it would have to be Danny and our full board thing too, so.
Would it be just, were you thinking no, just board or? were you
Not,
thinking
yeah, no, I
administrative?
guess I should have specified that. Not just board members on the ad hoc committee, but bringing in building administrators, especially. I mean, we've been talking specifically about Warren, Miller, Friendship, facilities director, Brian, getting him in so we can have a better look at where buses are running and how they're running, which ones are full, which ones come closer to other schools, where we have the densest student populations, or even taking a look at individual programs, like special ed programs, could we move one of those to a different building to make more room where it could make more sense, something like that. Really looking for a solution to this student population problem, because we saw in the bond, an addition is not going to be received well, especially if we are looking at declining numbers. Other than in Lincoln Miller, they're going up, but everywhere else they're not. And so if we have room other places, like you said, there's room in our other schools, I feel like, one, it would be better received if it looks like we're trying to use everything we have as best we can. And we are looking for creative solutions to problems like that. So I know we can't approve, again, I'm not even on this committee, but you can't approve making it ad hoc here, but just the idea of something that its only purpose is to look at this and figure out a solution to it. And roping in administrators on that, I feel like would streamline that process so we can get a solution faster.
I would suggest that if you do something along the ad hoc, you bring in the public. I think that's the people we're trying to work with, and we'd like to get their feedback before we start drawing lines in the sand, so to speak. But it's important, and that was Waldeboro and Warren who are most impacted by both of these things. And I think you have to have some small parameters of what you're looking at. The scope that you're talking about is pretty huge, and I think it's good. You have to, but I think for the one particular problem that is Miller, as we're just told, it's important to get something finalized by September, August, or something like that. So I don't know how you. I agree with you. I think there's so many things that we can alter, but the other problem is the bus time, the travel time, all these other things that are really important with younger kids. And I don't know how you cover all these bases. That's my concern. So if we pull it into a management thing, so we all have an idea of what we're trying to do. I don't know.
It seems like there's going to have to be a proposal during budget season. Correct, see how we can make that work before next year. There's going to be a cost.
Okay.
And I don't know how you.
I mean, sorry. We heard at the public referendum last year, there were multiple comments made about space and using what we have rather than going the bond route. So we already know kind of the public's opinion, again, based on how heavily that vote went. They don't want to see massive spending increases. They want to see us come up with creative solutions and ones that are hopefully cost effective. So if that means moving programs, teachers, students around, I know that's a broad scope, but the narrow scope is we have an overpopulation problem at Miller, and we should be willing to entertain any option we can to solve it. So I think in a sense, it does have a narrow scope, solve the problem at Miller, and be willing to look at whatever we need to.
No, I was, part of my budget presentation, I was probably gonna provide some different options. I guess I'm thinking so along the same line as yours. I'm really thinking about that, just because of the timing of it. By the time that committee comes together, under whatever board, I will have presented it like already, I think. I'm just wondering, timing wise, I'm wondering if it makes sense to do it through a separate. I hear what you're saying about these committees only meeting monthly, so you can meet more frequently than that. And certainly the budget is is a bigger topic than just what to do about overcrowding in Miller, but I agree with you, we have to figure out a solution. And I was just thinking what we have in place and how we can use that to help facilitate the process.
So you're saying you're already working with administrators and coming up with some plans or options of the things that we're discussing.
Yeah,
So you'll be ready to present something like that at budget and we can move forward with that. So.
The public seems to think that we have the space available. It's just not in the right place. You know, the spaces are not in the right place. So that means if we're gonna utilize the space that we have, and we're not gonna build more, because we can't drum up the money to build more, we're gonna have to do a better job busing. And I don't know how we do that when you can't hire, it don't matter where you go. In the state of Maine or New England, you can't hire a bus driver. Can't hire one. I was in Berwick today, they got the same problem. Can't hire bus drivers. So, you know, we got the space here, there, everywhere, but, you know, we move them this year, we're gonna have to move some next year. 'Cause that class, wherever it is gonna keep, you know.
I guess I'll just iterate again. The only reason I was really thinking about ad hoc specifically was I don't want this problem to get lost in the gears of the system. They turn slowly just by the nature of how things have to work. I figured that ad hoc was a way to get some grease in there and move things along to speed the process up. So if that means we can meet more often, like our committees talk about it and facilities or finance can meet more often to have the discussions and we can invite administrators to come. That might work, but
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking if you could put it under facilities and, cause it is really rich.
well, that was my next question was,
And then,
is it specifically a facilities? Is this a finance? Is it a learning committee? Because we're talking about students.
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere, but it's, I think, primarily, I think it could start with facilities and then work its way through the other.
Well, the space is facilities, really,
And education, so.
but how do you make it all work? You know?
Brian waves his magic wand and it all happens.
Yeah, like, I'm not in this conversation yet.
4 or 5 years and, you know, putting out fires is what he's doing.
That's,
He ain't fixed it, he's just
I
putting
think
fires.
that would be a good way to go. And then it's not all of a sudden we find out at the budget meetings when we're trying to make these decisions, we kind of know before we get there that that's what you're gonna present. Or that's what everybody, we know that everybody wants that and it's been worked through by a number of people.
Yeah, because hearing a proposal and then having a couple of minutes to look at it and make decisions on it for something this big, I just don't think is enough.
What about a weekly, facilities meeting?
Well, that's something I'll ask Brian and Karen about what logistically is possible for them and what we can get through.
to Noah's point and Julia's point is we are gonna have to meet sooner and we need something concrete by the time we propose it. If we need it to not be at 10,000 feet, we need to be at this is where we're gonna draw the line and this is where we're gonna propose it. See if more people get mad and friendship people cheer or wherever the line is in other towns. But I think it needs to be pretty concrete in order for me to be able to figure out the financial impact of it in order to have something appropriate for the budget, because if I miscalculated or we changed the line or And maybe it'll have limited impact, you know, Terry has enough room in each of her grades and there's enough kids, what are the odds though, right? The right number of children. Right, but, you know, but at least if we look at it sooner than later, we can at least get close. Brian and Ernie can look at the bus routes and which bus routes make sense to either split them off or have the second bus that goes a different place or something like that. And we have vans, or if it's special education or the kid event, we have to regroup on those. Yeah.
Could we do a mix and maybe have a couple extra facilities meetings with a special board meeting? Just to promote it.
Yeah, well, the facilities committee couldn't make any decisions.
No,
They could
no,
put
I'm just
together like
being,
information for a proposal at a special board meeting.
yes, exactly, that's what I meant.
Well, one thing I think that was brought up several times was the busing. What about, and we don't seem to have any problem with getting van drivers. What's the capacity before they're not a van? You know, things like that. When do you jump from? You know,
You mean like, how many children can be in a van?
right, and where do you go? Yeah, if you go just beyond the van, then they have to have all the other licensing. Is my concern is how we can get more.
Correct. So if they're in a bus and it's at a CDL
Right.
license with a school bus endorsement, if they're in a van, they have a regular driver's license with a background check and physical. The vans can carry between 4 or 5, you can fit 6, I'm guessing you can. So like I came over with Sarah today, and like she's got these great big car seats in her, so I'm saying you're fitting what, 3 kids, maybe 4? Yeah, because you know, those new car seats are just 5. But we could buy, you know, we could buy more vans, and if that's what we figure we need to do, then we'll need to factor that in, you know, to the proposal.
I think that has to be part of it. I mean, if you,
That's gonna be, that would have to be part of the discussion.
Yeah.
It's part of the logistics.
the transportation is the key.
And I forget, Brian already knows, but when you go up to the next level of van, you're still required to, you're required to pass with us endorsement license. And they're not as safe, so it's really not a win-win, because you still have to have a license in there and a less safe with more children. It's not my decision to make, but I would encourage that my colleagues of whichever schools are being impacted be involved. You know, or be it Julia, Terry, whoever be involved to the extent they want to be. It's gonna impact their schools.
I don't know about capacity, but the middle school bus drivers are already public bus district versus a bus driver that's servicing just Miller is only in that area. Or any other schools.
Say that again, on the middle school?
Well, the middle school buses are already servicing the whole district, not just,
No, middle school bus driver generally is only picking up one town. Possible they might pick up part of another one if their bus happens to drive. The general rule.
I guess I just mean they're already coming from those places versus
True.
expanding it and totally changing the territory.
Like
There's gonna be more
Washington,
kids, but
Washington bus drivers coming through Waterloo and get to the middle school.
right, right.
So there is
It
some.
shouldn't take that much though to look at how many 6th grade students live in Waldeboro, for example, and how many seats we have available on our buses for the middle school, high school one. Could we add those students? Or do we need an additional bus? Because I think if we need an additional bus, that's probably the end of that idea.
But it spreads between Waldeboro and Warren and Friendship. You know, it's, those buses that are coming from to the middle school are coming from places surrounding Waldeboro that can share that load.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure, there could be some opportunities there.
It's not just the
Right, I think it happens now, Sarah and Brian can correct me, but there's probably kids in Friendship that, or Waldeboro that get on Friendship buses. I don't know what road that, but it kind of changes between being in Friendship and Waldeboro. Yeah.
trying to, just thinking, along with solving a problem where the opportunities are to actually save some financial costs as well. We don't want to create more. Avoid, sure. But it could also be an opportunity to, yes. An opportunity to save if we're balancing class sizes. It may be that we don't, may not need, if we change district lines, we may not need 3 classes of certain things. Should be able to consider those students and move that to somewhere else. So now, not doing the same staff, if we can balance it out appropriately. Won't know till the numbers and how it all works out.
It's just not likely that it's gonna be like a whole 5th grade class is splitting on the boundary line, and now it's gonna end up being a few students from every class. You'll end up with smaller class sizes, but not more classrooms.
Less probably.
I mean, more available.
Right, but I think in addition to or parallel to redistricting, we need to continue to look at classroom sizes as the population decreases, so we can alleviate Julia's problems, potentially add more children to Friendship, but as the overall population continues to decrease. I mean, right now, the freshman class at the high school is around 147 students. Over the next 4 years, that could be as low as 112. So as each of those little smaller grades get up to the high school, we're gonna go under 500 students at the high school. Which means the middle school is gonna shrink as well.
I'm move on, or do we have any more to talk about here?
We got a part 2 later, so.
Yeah,
Sorry.
true. Right one, that's fine, it's the, milk cost for cold lunch.
So Julie had asked me to look at, back up a little bit. We had been paying for, back a little further than that. All meals are free with the students for the last 2, I think 3 years. However, if a student chooses to bring cold lunch, they have to pay for their milk because that's not reimbursed by the federal government. So Stormy had received a grant and we decided to use that grant to supplement the milk because it was a frustration for parents, and I understood it, right? You're only asking for milk and you're paying for this. The student next to you is getting home milk, right? That grant has run out, and so I think about a month ago, Stormy communicated to the families that they would need to start paying for milks. So Storm and I put together some numbers because Julie asked, what would it take for us to continue to fund that? And it looks about $12,000 a year, assuming that children would suddenly start drinking a lot more milk because it was free. So it's not a huge number. But that's across all 7 schools, kind of based on the number of children who get one now.
I think we should do it.
Is there enough in the budget and the food service to cover that?
Yeah, I mean, Storm and I can look at that, and there are some grants that she gets. She just got a full potential grant. I'm not sure what the grant is out of what she's allowed to spend it on. So we could consider that. Seeing if we could find another grant that could supplement it for a while.
For next year, we would put it in the budget this year.
If that's what you want, we'll put it in the budget for next year. Keep in mind that last year I cut the budget for food service from 125 down to 50 for the local tax base, in an effort to have a budget. So the rest of food services self-funded, so it's either the students paying for their meals or, the state federal government. That all being said, if the meals being free could stop at any time. We have not been notified by the state that that's what they're going to do. It's in the next budget proposal, but you know, I think that which has been approved is just 10%. Correct. And I suppose the federal government could change the amount they reimburse us as well, but that would really impact the standalone marks. I'm actually kind of surprised that they'll do the whole meal for free. Between the state and the federal government, but they won't pay for them. I was actually told by a head cook today that at the high school, it's very common for a student to take a home meal because they want. Because they know they get it. They don't have 50 cents in their pocket.
We make it through the problem solving.
So currently we're charging.
Yeah, so maybe a few weeks ago. So after Christmas break. Yeah, go through that. Well, put this back on the agenda next time and let us know how you're feeling about having that extra money to, sit down and find some grants. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone have anything else for the finance committee? I think we're adjourned. Thank you.